Thank you to Anchor for sponsoring this week's video. We use our Anchor 767 powerhouse as well as our other Anchor battery backups for so many things around our place. With its 2,048 watt capacity, we have used our Anchor battery backups from everything from heating our chicken coop to getting vehicles started. The dependable LFP batteries are used in all the battery backups, but the Powerhouse 767 has the biggest capacity. The LFP battery can hold over 3,000 charge cycles and has a 5-year warranty and a 10-year lifespan. The large suitcase design has a convenient handle to pull, which makes it easy to move. It can recharge to 80% capacity in an hour and a half and 100% in 2 hours with HyperFlash technology. With a 1,000-watt solar capacity, it can recharge in 2.5 hours. With the expansion battery pack, you can double the capacity from 2,048 watts to 4,096 watts. With the Smart Control app, you can conveniently monitor your Anchor Powerhouse 767. The Anchor Powerhouse 767 is a perfect battery backup for lights-out situations. Whether it's making hot cocoa or something a little bit more important, the Anchor 767 Powerhouse can handle it all. Click the link in the description to learn more.
A few months back, I came across this old Reed No. 4C vise, which weighs just under 200 pounds. And while it's the biggest vise I've ever seen, I brought it home, and now I'm going to build a retro-inspired vise stand for my new vise. When buying steel from my local scrapyard this time of year, I basically get what's not covered in snow. And that comes down to some plate steel that I'm going to have to make work. Now, I've never built a vise stand before, but I can see this in my head and see it very clearly. And if it turns out the way I see it, it should be cool. The base of the vise will be built at a 3/8 plate, stacked on top of 3/8 plate, and then welded together. Then the body of the vise is only going to be 1/4 inch, but then again the bottom base is going to be more 3/8 plate on top of more 3/8 plate, and then again welded together. So the base itself should weigh well over 100 pounds, and this should keep that big heavy 200-pound vise from tipping over. Many years back when I first started training to be a plumber, I noticed many of the hand tools were Reed tools. I would go on to use Reed tools professionally for many years, and I still to this day have many Reed tools out in our shop. But our youngest son, who is now 9 years old, ended up being named Reed. And my thoughts are that a nice big vise like this, that someday he can have in his shop, and maybe think of his old dad once in a while. So these are the two 3/8 plates that I'm going to weld together, and then the vise will be bolted to these plates. So I'm sentimental about a lot of things, but I'm especially sentimental about old tools, especially old tools that can tell a story. And if you look hard at this vise, you'll immediately notice that it hasn't been used that hard. The guy that I bought this vise from had it listed for sale as a vise that could have potentially been on a battleship, because I believe that's what he read online. I seriously doubt that a vise like this was ever on a battleship, but originally, a vise like this would have been used on a battleship or in a machine shop or something like that. And when I looked up the information on this vise, that is more or less what I found. The patent on the vise goes back to the 1930s, but I'm pretty sure this vise was made in the early 60s. Someday I'm going to build me a nice welding table on casters and give up on my 5-gallon bucket, but not today. The way I'm building this vise stand is very simple. All of the patterns could have been cut out on a CNC machine and then simply welded together. But I would have spent way more money doing it that way, and in my opinion it wouldn't have the curb appeal that it's going to have by being handmade with a torch and a welder. I'm now making a pattern for the body of the vise stand. Somehow I managed to cut all the pieces out of the base for the vise stand without cutting any of my precious 5-gallon buckets on fire. As I cut the 1/4-inch steel out for the body of the vise stand, I'm trying to use the factory edge to keep everything square and straight. Once I get it all welded together, I will roll that factory edge with a grinder, and it should look factory. I'm going to put some welds on the inside of the body of the vise stand, so when I do get the angle grinder out and start working the exposed edge on the outside, it won't remove too much of the integrity of the vise stand and develop cracks. Again, I'm kind of going for that 30s, 40s, 50s factory look of the tapered body that you see from time to time when you see old vices on display. I can already see how I'm going to change the next vise stand that I build, but I can see this is going to be a little bit tall, so I may have to cut a few inches off the bottom. Now there's also a possibility that once the snow melts and I drive around the scrapyard and actually look, I may find some 1-inch plate that would make a better base for this stand. If I find that heavier steel, I'll probably cut this base off and weld that to it. I think I'm finally getting a handle on my old Hobart 1800. Kind of like me, it needs about 30 minutes to warm up, but once it gets warm, it's good to go. Oh yeah, in case you forgot, we live completely off-grid, so having the sun out makes a difference when my solar panels haven't seen the sun in a while. So just a friendly reminder that I'm building this with batteries charged by the sun and or my generator, and our Lion Energy system that we've worked so hard to put together is having absolutely no problems keeping up. Now this is the widest piece of 3/8 inch plate steel that they had down there at the scrapyard. It's 13.5 inches wide. So I'm going to weld a 10-inch wide piece to the 13.5 inch wide piece, and that should be enough to hold it down. I'm using some square tubing to try and keep the 3/8 plate as flat as I can while I'm welding it. And by going back and forth from side to side, it actually didn't move around too much. So 3/8 thick by approximately 2 feet by 2 feet, doubled up on top of each other, was the last piece of the puzzle that the base was missing. I needed to double up that base to make it strong enough. Again, I could have ordered all of the steel, the thicknesses that I needed from the jump and saved myself a bunch of work, but I would be scared to know how much a piece of 24-inch wide by 3/8 thick steel would cost, especially right now. So it doesn't bother me a bit welding a couple of pieces together to save a little bit of money along the way. So this is the second piece of steel that I will weld to the base to make it a little bit heavier and a little bit stronger. But it's very obvious that the stand is too tall, so I'm going to cut at least 3 inches off the bottom, and then I'll check the center of gravity with the vise and see if that's enough. I blew a few holes through those 3/8 plates with a torch, and then I welded them together, but I'm using the grinder to try and clean my welds up before I weld that base to the stand for hopefully the last time. It's really starting to come together, and I love the way it looks. I've got a Soderfors anvil from Sweden that I'm also going to let my boys fight over once I'm dead and gone. And I need to build a base for that too, but that's not going to happen until snow melts. I can't think of a better way to be remembered by my kids and maybe even my grandkids than by the tools that are left behind. And my hope is that by the time I'm gone, the tools I leave behind are something worth fighting over. Whether it's the vices or the anvils or the pipe wrenches or anything else, but I'm going to go out of my way to fill the shop with high quality tools that have history. And this vise is a definite step in the right direction. I think it's done. I actually got paint to paint it like an industrial gray color, but I think it looks better like that. And it's not top heavy. That was one of my other concerns. I probably could have lowered it another 3 or 4 inches, but I like it. A big stand for a big vise. It's perfect. As far as the stand is concerned, I could have, had I known what I wanted, I could have taken the vise and my measurements and gone to a machine shop and literally had them cut everything to where all I had to do was weld it up. They could have CNC'd the base for the vise, but I would have spent well over $1,000 to do that. I am in this base about $250. I really think it turned out amazing, and I hope someday my boys are sitting around, or maybe even my daughters and their grandkids are sitting around talking about this piece, because that's the plan for this tool. That's the plan for my anvil. You know, I made a conscious decision a while back that I would try and seek out higher quality tools that I could actually hand down to my sons. So on goes the pursuit for high quality tools. But this one is fun because it ties right into my past as a plumber, and I probably have 20 or 30 more tools in the shop that are Reed tools. So now I just got to find other tools that relate to my other kids' names. We got Reed covered. I got a few others in there I got to figure out. So